Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the day street, also with all the cues as to how the markets have traded throughout the trading session, which are the sectors and the stocks that are buzzing in trade today, and also what are experts really saying about the strategies that you should adopt as investors in the current market setup as well. All of that coming up, but first up a quick check on how the Nifty and the Sensex are moving as we begin the closing half an hour. So about 145 points up for the Nifty, 17,449, 0.8% of an uptick. It's at the high point of the day. The Sensex also moving up by 450 points now, 0.7% of an uptick for that one, 59,410 as the current level. The broader markets also supporting. It's a broad-based buying action that you're spotting on the markets today, with the mid caps up by 1.4%, leading the index moves right here. The small caps also up in tow, 1.4% uptick. The India VIX levels are sharply down today, 7.5% at 12.9. So that's leading to the strong bounce that we are also seeing in the markets. The market breadth completely in favor of the bulls, with 42 advances to 8 declines today. In terms of the sectoral moves as well, all the sectors of the Nifty are up in the green, with sharp moves being seen on the metals pack today. Almost a 4% uptick is what you can spot. PSU banks rallying 3%. Almost a 1.5% uptick for the IT pack as well. Realty spikes are also supporting 1% uptick for the autos. FMCG is slightly up in trade, and the pharma stocks also inching up higher as we speak too. In terms of the gainers on the markets right now, it's the Adani Group stocks that are back up into the green. Second day in a running, and we're seeing Adani Enterprises up at 13.5% right now, 1548. In 2 or 3 trading sessions, we've actually seen this sharp bounce of over 20%. Hindalco up by 3.5%, UPL, Axis Bank and SBI, the top gainers on the Nifty pack. On the losing side, you have stocks like Britannia, Cipla, on the back of the news flows of US FDA and the observations there. HDFC Life and SBI Life, the life insurance majors, are in fact dragging, and Power Grid also slightly down in trade. Time now to welcome our guest for the day. Mr. Ambareesh Baliga joins in. He's a well-known market expert. Mr. Baliga, welcome to Business Today TV, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Well, how do you see this bounce that we are spotting on the markets? Well, on the one side, it actually comes on the back of the slowing growth numbers that we are seeing on the GDP. But on the other hand, there's a bounce in the Adani Group stocks. Which way are the markets really giving more weight to, and what's leading to this point? And can it sustain as well?
GDP was more or less in line, slightly below expectations. So that really wouldn't have had too much of an effect on the market. I think it was more of a relief. That's not worse than the numbers which we saw. But then when any market falls for 7 to 8 days continuously, it's quite natural that the markets will get oversold, and then you have a bounce back. The question is as to how long this bounce back will last, and I believe it may last just for a day or two, maximum 3 days, and
Okay.
we'll resume the downward movement which we had seen in the past, couple of weeks. Because technically speaking, also once the markets had broken that 17,800 levels, clearly the downside opens up to levels of about 17,000 or even below. So, like I said, this is only a bounce back, unless, of course, it crosses 17,800 decisively. Then maybe I'm going to change my view. But then, till then, I still see the downside for the markets.
Okay. And how do you see this bounce in the Adani Group stocks now? Is that also something that one should really look at positively, or is this again going to be extremely volatile because dust has not settled? Your view, has anything changed over the last, from the last time that we spoke until now, on your view on the Adani Group stocks?
Nothing has changed except for the fact that it has fallen more. And then, see, after say 65, 70, or some of them have fallen 80%. After that, if you have a 5 to 10% up move, again, that's quite natural because, again, these stocks had got oversold. And when you have a bounce back, you normally have a lot of speculators, day traders, short term traders getting into it to take advantage of the momentum. And that's exactly what we are seeing. I mean, just because some of the stocks are in circuit doesn't mean that the downside is over and it's turned around. Because I think Adani Group, I think, still has some more downside. Like, for example, Adani Enterprises, I still see the stock going below possibly 1,000. Adani
Okay.
Wilmar and Adani Ports, which are my actual picks from that space. But again, at these levels, I would possibly wait for Adani Wilmar closer to about 280 to 320 levels. I mean, closer to those levels we had seen yesterday. It has bounced back from there. So unless they come to those levels, I mean, I really will not find it interesting to buy. though I'm keeping a tab on just these two stocks in the whole portfolio
So
of Adani.
Adani Wilmar, you said 280. What is the level that you say that you're watching out for Adani Ports?
Adani Ports, I would be comfortable at levels closer to about 420 to 450, which I think should be possible over the next month, month and a half.
Okay, so still a lot of downside that you will really expect right there,
Absolutely.
especially with Adani Enterprises. It can also slip below 1,000 again. So this is
Right.
just a bounce that investors should look at, right? Okay. So in this current market where you say that until and unless 17,800 is really breached decisively on the upside, the markets may actually continue to be stuck in this lackluster range bound move. What should be the strategy that investors must follow? How does one really make money in this kind of a market? You pointed out, I had not noticed the number of sessions, but you said 78 days. So we've been stuck in that zone for 78 days. Oversold for sure, but some more time to go. How does one make money in this market?
See, I mean, for a trader, there is always an opportunity in a market like this, which is very volatile. But for the investor, I mean, what I would suggest is surely this is not the time to stay out. When the markets were above 18,000 levels, I was asking people to stay on cash. And my recommendation was to stay on cash to the extent of about 30% at that point of time. But then the markets fell below 17,500 levels. I mean, I told my investors that this is possibly a time to start buying. But this is again not go all out and invest the 30%, maybe invest 10% up to levels of about say 17,200 or so. So whenever it's a down day, like what we have seen in the last 7, 8 days, that is the time to really look at buying specific stocks which are there in your list. And in case we see a bounce back, a major bounce back like what we have seen today, if it carries on for a day or two more, and the stocks which you have bought give you that 10, 15, 20% sort of return, which is very much possible. I mean, we have seen that in Adani Group stocks as well as a couple of others which have seen a decent move. So when you see that 10 to 15, 20% move, I think it's prudent to book out to a certain extent what you have bought because you'll again get that opportunity over the next couple of weeks.
Right,
But
absolutely.
but like I said, it is time to start buying. It is not a time to stay on the sidelines.
Absolutely, not at this, not the time to be on the sidelines at this point in time. But which sectors, according to you, are showing a pool of profit in the market right now?
In fact, I mean, I'm quite bullish on sectors like automobiles, specialty chemicals. Pharma is a dark horse. I mean, that didn't perform in the whole of 2022. I see that performing this year.
Okay.
Cement is the other sector which I would look to buy. And clearly, in consumer durables, I think one sector which should do extremely well over the next 4 to 5 months would be like in the white goods, ACs and refrigerators.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, so stocks like Voltas, Whirlpool, Blue Star, and Amber Enterprises, which actually manufactures AC for all these brands, I think they should do extremely well because February was the hottest month, I think, in the last century, if I'm not wrong. And we are expecting March to May to be much warmer than usual.
Yeah.
So clearly the demand for ACs and refrigerators are going to shoot up in those months, and I think these are the companies which will benefit.
Okay. In fact, I was going to be discussing this summer theme with you because, we knew that it is going to be a hard summer. Everybody knew 10 days ago that El Nino effect was at play. Has something new and different really come out of the IMD forecast yesterday, which is new for the markets? How will the markets really decipher the indications from IMD?
No, I think, I mean, clearly we'll have a heat wave, so that would be beneficial for this sector. But going ahead, if the El Nino effect plays out and we don't have a normal monsoon, I mean, again, we have seen a normal monsoon for the last 4 years continuously. So, fifth year of a normal monsoon could be a bit difficult. And
Yeah.
in case this El Nino effect plays out, I think that will be negative for the economy as well as the markets because we would see the sort of food inflation shooting up, and that clearly is not good for us. So I just hope that doesn't happen, but we need to keep a close watch on that. If that happens, possibly the recovery in the markets could get a bit delayed because as of now, I believe that our I mean, earnings should be looking up possibly from Q2 FY24. But if this happens, I think that can delay, I mean, get delayed a bit further.
Okay, understood that as well. One more space that I wanted to discuss with you. Have you read into the kind of commentary that is coming from Federal Bank, analyst meet, speaking of the entire banking space? You talked about your preferred spaces like a pharma, cement, and some of these other stocks that you talked about. But what is your outlook as, we've also seen the culmination of Axis Bank, acquisition of
Right.
Citibank, and the operations right there. What could it mean for the consumer business going forward?
See, in fact, when you see the economy slowing down, I mean, clearly your credit growth will also slow down to a certain extent. We have seen that effect already on consumption to some extent in the recent past. So that will play out on the banking space. So I'm not very bullish on the banking space as such. Even the NIMs, which were expanding in the last couple of quarters, I think that also is more or less peaking out. We have seen the FD rates actually moving up. HDFC Bank has, in fact, increased it to 8% for senior citizens. So I see, I mean, the rates going up at least at the 50 to 75 basis points more, which again means that the NIMs will be under, I mean, pressure to a certain extent. And at the same time, if you are not seeing the sort of credit growth which you projected, I don't see performance coming in. I don't see a crash as far as banks are concerned, but then I think it will be more of a sideways correction. So, I mean, no more major positive surprises from here. So, I mean, the way the stocks have moved up, especially the PSU banks, I think they would correct sideways correction, but I think it will tire out people.
Okay. One more area that I wanted to discuss was on the new age stocks as well, or the recently listed stocks from the startups basket. What is your outlook on, say, delivery with respect to the kind of news flows that we've seen with SoftBank offloading the stake over there? Also, the kind of commentary we've got from Zomato, where they're very confident of growing the business as well as achieving the $100 billion revenue down the line. Your take on some of these companies?
Zomato, I was quite negative when the IPO had come, and I really couldn't believe the way the stock had moved up. But at closer to 50, 55 levels, with some visibility on the earnings, at least in the next 2 to 3 years, turning positive, and the way they're expanding, I think at these levels it makes sense buying Zomato if one has possibly the next 2 to 3 years, viewpoint. Again, stocks like delivery at these levels, I'm finding it decently attractive. Whatever the SoftBank has sold, I think at least with the pressure which was there, I think that's off, and because of which we have seen the stock actually move up post that block deal this morning. I mean, the other stocks which I'm quite positive on among the new age ones is Policy Bazaar.
Okay.
So, so that's one stock which I see possible levels of 680 or more. So even at the current levels, I would be a buyer.
Okay, understood that. What is your outlook on the auto space, sir? Given that we'll be, of course, we're watching out for the February auto sales numbers as well. Could
Right.
we see two-wheelers really come back on track? We've also got CLSA's note coming out on M&M, which has been a very good performing stock as well in the recent past. They've upgraded the stock to buy, citing strong momentum in the farm as well as auto business. Would that also be one of your favorites in the auto basket?
Yeah, surely, because in auto basket there can be two parts. One is a two-wheeler, and the other is four-wheelers, LCV, HCVs. So two-wheelers, I really don't see them performing too well because that's one space which has got hit by the EV launches
Yeah.
I mean, by new brands. So that has eaten into especially the lower end of the two-wheeler sales. Because most of the known players, the known brands have been slow as far as the EV is concerned. So that's going to hit them. So stocks like Hero Moto or a Bajaj Auto, I would be a bit cautious at this point of time. In fact, negative on those stocks. Whereas four-wheeler stocks and HCV, LCVs like Maruti, Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra Mahindra, I mean, they're decently bullish.
Okay, one more stock I want your view on, and that is LIC. You know, yesterday we were talking about how the stock has been severely battered over the last 1 month, especially with the linkage that we've been, markets have been looking at with the Adani Group exposure, even though the exposure is minuscule, less than 1%, but the stock has been severely battered, about 20% of a decline in the last 1 month alone. And also, when we see from in terms of market cap, it listed at one of the top six in the market cap, but now it's slipped to 12
Right.
levels as well. The stock has bounced back since yesterday, since the momentum on Adani stocks again, but it's trading at 600, 602 right now. Your thoughts on LIC? How should one be looking at this stock now?
Valuation wise, I find it very attractive. But then the issue is that the stock has fallen post the IPO. So at every level, we'll find enough sellers who have been stuck. I mean earlier, and who want to exit. So I think at every level you'll find sellers coming in. So moving up sharply from here would be difficult. It can only move up very well once it is beyond 900. So that's some time away. But then
Okay.
when the valuation is decent, I think it's a good time to buy. I think even at the current levels, despite it moving up, some, I
Hmm.
mean about 25 rupees, it's still a good buy. As far as Adani stocks in the portfolio is concerned, I think it is more of a sentimental impact than anything else. Because looking at the portfolio which LIC has, this should not have too much of an impact. And
Okay.
and more so, they are not losing on Adani stocks. I mean, like the value is still higher than what they bought it at. It was more of loss of profit. I mean, it was at a huge profit earlier, and that's come down.
Okay, understood that. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Mr. Baliga, for being with us on the show and sharing all the insights on various sectors and stocks that we've discussed today. The markets are looking bright today after those days of declines. 440 points uptick for the Sensex right now, 59,404, 17,448 currently for the Nifty. It's up by 143 odd points. Looks like we are headed for a positive close. So that could be a breather for all the investors who've been looking at a lackluster market for a long time. 78 days of continuous range-bound lackluster and weakness in the markets that we've spoken of, just like how Mr. Baliga pointed out. But definitely still a lot of opportunities for investors to really make money. Not the time to sit on the sidelines, but get out there and get into stocks that can actually help you make money even despite this volatility that we are seeing. So continue to stay with us on Business Today TV to catch all the updates from the world of business and stock markets. You can subscribe to this channel and also continue to engage with us via our other social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Many thanks for tuning in. For now.
You know how on social media influencers often take someone else's Instagram page over? I think it's called a takeover, something like that. We